Hey, what's going on, my good people? Welcome to Loving Life Deep. And today we're talking about how to honor your inner value without external validation, which is so important because sometimes we put our value in the hands of other people and circumstances, which is nuts. So I had to bring my girl Toni on. We are such great friends. I love you, Toni. I love your insight, everything. So introduce yourself, tell the people like who you are and
Me?
Yes.
I gotta do my own introduction. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, girl, we adore each other. We're like two peas in a pod, long lost sisters, as you can see, like facial structures and everything. Anyway, my name is Toni Belafonte. I know it looks like it might say Tony, but I like to say like tonic without the C. I am a New York, LA actor, voiceover artist, model, host, and entrepreneur as well.
I love that, girl. And I intentionally did that. I wanted to come from you because, just to get us all warmed up in here. We got my sister on here whose name is Toni.
Toni! Hey! I ask about you all the time, Toni, because hers is like Tawny and mine is like Tani, but it's like the same.
Right. Exactly.
She's like a Tawny Port. Like Tawny Port. I love Tawny Port, actually. It's really good.
And it's like the color, and yours has more of that TAH, and hers is the TAW.
Yes, exactly.
I love it because it'd be messing me up, but I love it because both of y'all my sisters. Well, girl, thanks for being here today. I thought this would be such a good topic because it's been something that's on my mind, and something that I feel like I've had to overcome and kind of continue to overcome as we work through the residue of just past trauma or anything that's come up in childhood or anything that's been challenging. And I talk about this being able to honor the inner value because, in my opinion, that's only something that can come from us. When we start to place our worth and our value in the hands of others based on what we're able to do for them or what we're seeing externally, whether we have this, that, or the other, because of the way that we're taught, we get into trouble and start to compromise the truth of who we really are because we're now weighting that on things that at times don't have anything to do with us. So I wanted to go through a few topics, and those of you who are in the chat, please feel free to join the conversation.
I have a quick adjustment I need to make, Jamie, for sound.
Okay, do it.
Okay, should I turn the camera off?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just do camera, and you do mute too, or else we gonna hear you back there, girl.
Oh yeah, let me real quick.
So we'll let some of you guys get in here, but I did have a question to start. And so one of my first questions is, and one of the first topics that I want to go into with you guys is, do you have the ability to see rejection as protection, or is that something that you struggle with? So I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, you want to chime in on that?
I don't think that initially we ever see rejection as protection. I think that's the furthest thing from our minds when somebody or when someone rejects us, or we're rejected by a thing that we may want, whether it's a job or any type of opportunity. I just don't think we think about it like that. We immediately go to, I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? I could have done better. Who's the other girl? I think we automatically go into a competition mode in terms of deeming it as a loss, but a personal loss against ourselves, as opposed to, like you said, trusting that the universe and God and the spiritual forces know something that we do not. It knows what we want in our deepest heart and desire, and it's aligning us with that. And because we're human, our eyes are sometimes covered with rose-colored goggles or glasses. So we see only what we want to see, and we don't always see the truth. And even if we see the truth, we sometimes deny the truth that we see.
Absolutely. I have to completely agree. Hey, beautifully yours. Evening to you too. Beautifully yours says, I'm still 50-50 with this. I see the blessing much later on than in the moment. And that's kind of
Absolutely.
what you're saying, Tani. I feel the same way. Like, it's that I'm glad you brought up that competitive nature. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because, you're an only child, but there's three of us. So
Mm-hmm.
as the older sister, it comes with the responsibility, and there's competition, I guess, in a way, but it's also like it's almost like a performance. Like, you want to do well. Your sisters are watching, or people are counting on you to do these things. So when you fixate your mind, which now I kind of liken to the ego, I don't want to demonize the ego, because I think when it comes to competition and coming up with things and putting a little spice on stuff, we need it. But to function from that space is kind of like, I have to do this. You get your mindset on something. It's like, I have to do this. I have to do it this way. This is what it has to look like. And the second it looks different, instead of being like, I ordered steak, but they brought me this amazing chicken. Let me try the chicken. We're just like, no, like, my life is over. This is ridiculous. What
Mm-hmm.
did I do wrong? And all of these things. And I just kind of hate that we get into that space, because it becomes a habit that formulates, negative mindset. And then you already know, when your mind is negative, like, everything goes
And where is
south.
that coming from, right?
Exactly.
That's the real question. Yeah.
It's like, sometimes are we fighting against human nature, or is it really solely based on the way we're raised? Because if you think about it, like, I know I felt good when I got my little kudos. Like, when my parents were happy with me, when I got good grades, when I cleaned without them asking, when I did something pleasing or pleasurable, it was like they were pleased with me. But when I was forging my own path and doing my own thing and thinking I was doing something, I got in trouble sometimes. So it kind
Mm-hmm.
of puts that in your mind, like, things have to be this way. This is what people's gonna like. And if I don't do it like this, then there's something wrong with me. People are not gonna like me. They're not gonna, and it's just, it chips away at your self-worth, which should really be untouchable.
It chips away at your self-worth, and also that intuitive inner compass that we have, right? That guiding compass that leads us without question. We do all the things that we do, the things that we're attracted to, is because of what we have burning on the inside. It's not external usually. I mean, some cultures, the parents want you to be a doctor, lawyer, barrister, chief. That's what we say in Jamaica. So sometimes the forces are from the outside, but even still, you would be warring against that, because on the inside, that's not what you want to do. That's not your direction. That's not your path. So yes, like, it's a balance between, I think, the parent feeling like they know best and they want to guide you and keep you safe, right?
Ooh.
Because it's all about keeping you safe, as well as like trying to couple it and balance it with like letting you find your own path as well, letting you make your own mistakes. But then it's like, should I let my child have to make a mistake that they don't have to make if I can just guide them to this thing? So I think that's definitely a challenge when raising kids and when you're growing up. Um, if your parent doesn't have the wherewithal to understand that being a helicopter parent, or like trying to control you, is going to adversely affect you later, um, they kind of miss out, because then you look for validation in others, right? So now it starts to foster other types of links that you don't need from other people. You're like, I need somebody to say I did good. Did I do good? Now you're looking for approval in all the wrong places, when it always should just come from self. So maybe, I guess, if there was a way to like allow you to do, and if you mess up or fall or succeed, then talk to that in a way that gives you encouragement to continue to do it again.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me, as you're saying, it's kind of like, out the gate, it would be nice to frame failure as something good. Like, oh my gosh, that grade, it wasn't so good. I am so proud of you for trying. Like, this is a D, but you know what? This D, we're gonna, it's better than an F. We're gonna transform this thing. Because sometimes when you go through life, you have to, like, just the building blocks of instead of demonizing something that doesn't look pleasurable, making it seem like the stepping stone it really is, because in that way you have the opportunity to get to the root of it. Like, well, why did you get that D? Or are you, how do you feel about it? What's on your mind about, and having that interaction so you actually have a chance to lean in and think within yourself without being like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to get them upset. I don't want to, and you shut down. And then you carry that throughout. I was listening to something, I take this chakra class, and it was talking about the throat and how, like, musicians, if you hit a note, sometimes you let it ride, it'll be like ding, and it fades out. But if it in a particular note, if you're just hitting it and they stop it, it'll be like ding, and it'll cut off. That's kind of how, like, we're supposed to be harmonizing with the divine. It comes in, we're like this musical instrument, and it comes out. But when we're so worried about getting it wrong, it cuts that note. And then, this is why a lot of people, it causes dis-ease, and it just, disrupts the flow. And I feel like if we can just kind of reverse that a little bit and cultivate that inner knowing that we were born with, that God gave us, that the all-knowing, the creator divinity put within us, and not stifle that, I think it would help us not see rejection as like this negative thing, but like, oh, that just must not have been for me. Next. Little bull smile.
I saw this, I think I read an article, and I can't remember who but she was like a really successful CEO of like one of these major companies, and forgive me, and your father, young lady, who I can't remember the names or the story to correlate it, but basically her dad would encourage her to fail every day. So when she got home from school, he didn't ask, how was your day? He asked, what did you fail at?
Oh, wow.
And if she didn't fail at anything, he said, don't come back home tomorrow until you fail at something. And so failing for her became fun. It was almost like she looked for risks to take. She looked for things to challenge her in a way that she may just fail so she could run home and say, Dad, I failed at this thing. And she took that throughout her life. And it doesn't allow it, she doesn't allow anything to conquer her. And she looks at all things as a stepping stone, or as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to get better. And I mean, it proved itself, because she's like literally a top CEO in a Fortune 500 company.
That is so amazing and fun. I'm gonna have to put that one in the pocket for my little ones. Like, did you fail at something today? Show mommy what you failed at. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Show mommy.
Show mommy your failures.
But again, that goes back to the parent having the wherewithal, the knowledge or the foresight, or even that mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That says, and that's the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset, right? The growth mindset is like, listen, we're going to just do it. We're not going to worry about the result. We're just going to get it done, and we'll learn along the way.
Absolutely. Toni says, I'm addicted to the validation I get when I do well. It makes me want more and more. Then when I don't get it, I wonder what I did wrong, and I'm constantly trying to fix it. Still working on that. And I understand. Like, I feel like we all have that in different ways. In one way or another, it shows up. And I love that you spoke to it, Toni, as an addiction, because it is. It's the, what is it? The dopamine, the feeling that you get good. The thing that makes the dog wag its tail, like, and feel love. And we all want to feel loved. I really believe, feeling love and giving love is one of the main reasons we're here. Like, how to do that, how to receive and give love. That's probably the biggest thing that we're here to actually do, besides all of our purpose work and all this stuff. And to wonder what you did wrong. That's just such a tough one. That just,
like immediately you go to, it was
so
you.
negative. It was something's wrong with you, as opposed to like anything else that's not as negative. Like, oh, well, maybe they didn't see me, or maybe they didn't get, or maybe that's not for me. Like, you go to a job, or an audition or whatever, and you don't get it. And then instead of beating yourself up about what you didn't do, what you should have did, and all this, like, maybe that just wasn't for me. Can it be that simple? Tawny says, failure plants the seed of an equal or greater success. Oh, well, that's the case. Okay, Napoleon Hill, because that means shoot, I'm about to
Absolutely.
skyrocket in this one.
Yeah. Because, with that, also that addiction, when you flying high, you flying, but then guess what? You crash. Exactly. There's a crash that happens, and now you have to pull yourself out of this hole, out of this thing. And those people that were validating you aren't usually there to help you pull yourself up or help you pull yourself out. And you've created this scenario, right? You've allowed these people's information or validation to, you put it on a pedestal. And now when you didn't get it, it makes you feel less worthy. When you yourself should be on the pedestal, right? Trusting yourself enough that even if they like it or they don't, it's enough. Because you're not going to get 100% of anybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's not their job or the responsibility. You're right. It's something that you put on yourself. And that's what a lot of this, channel is about. It's like, don't get me wrong, dating is hard, losers this, all of these things happen. But at the end of the day, it's the accountability that we take and how we cultivate our inner world that puts us in alignment with what we're going to receive in the outer world. And I wanted to have this conversation because these are things that happen to all of us. And sometimes it's hard to see. You genuinely think you're not enough or you're not doing enough. And year after year, situation after situation, person after person, with that thinking, you never get out of that. You have dug yourself deep at this point.
Instead of getting better, you're actually getting worse.
And then you find yourself literally performing for validation. And when you do that, you attract people who don't let you.
And you lose yourself.
And if you're lost and you lose yourself, how can you attract the things that are meant for you? How can you be divinely in these spaces and living in your fullest capacity if you were never aligned for that in the beginning? So
right.
When I talk about waiting for a mate versus being ready, we got our hands full because this is a thing that this is plenty of work right here just to examine something like this and see if we can really make it a habit to see rejection as protection.
Oh, if we can. Listen, I think the sooner you can do that, the sooner you find joy, peace, and personal success. And it goes back again, the trust and the trust of self.
Yeah.
The trust that you know what's best. And if you don't know, God knows.
Yes. And I love that you said God too, because, I struggled. I love having this channel because I've gone in and out of like very high highs and lows, especially when it comes to being single. We're taught as women, like, this is the pinnacle. You get married, you got this man, you were chosen. That means you're worthy, you are wanted, you are seen, you got this thing going on and all that. But when I was in my right mind or when I'm thinking clearly, I could tell that like God was hiding me in plain sight. It's like I was there, but it's like, I don't feel like, I don't feel seen. And it wasn't so much of a bad thing. It's like almost being in a crowd and you're there and jumping up and down with everybody else, but it's just like all this stuff around you. I done watched so many people get married and some of those people got divorced. I done watched so many people have babies and it's like I'm there and I'm doing the thing and it has nothing to do with me as a person, but I just feel like, wow, I am so hidden in plain sight. It's like I'm right here. But when we talk about the rejection being protection, I almost appreciate that now because it kept me out of a lot of situations. It kept me from more heartbreak than I probably really needed to go through. It kept me away from people that were not meant to be in my mid.
You know why I'm laughing?
Why?
Because I'm thinking about the guys that have rejected me in the past, and I see them now. I'm like, thank you.
That's you dodging bullets.
Because you look a hot mess. you are a hot mess, you know? And again, see, I,
Not the genuine laugh. She's laughing with you, not at you. She's laughing with you.
if you want to say so. I've just seen some of these guys that I used to like just want, and I'm like, ooh, I'm glad you didn't. Whatever it was, maybe you didn't think you were good enough for me. Maybe you saw yourself and you felt like you weren't going to measure up. And when I finally got to see you, and you allowed, you know, you took yourself out of my life, and thank God, because I'm like, ooh,
Facts.
love you for, you know, better or worse. I don't know,
Girl.
That worst came fast and hard.
Listen, talk about that protection. That's protection, though. You
Absolutely.
Up here thinking, I'm still single. I haven't been chosen. Am I worth it? And this whole time, God is like, girl, I'm moving you through the crowd like this. I'm trying to take you to the front. I'm trying to take you to the guy or the situation. Either that's going to be what it is, or that's going to help you get to the next situation. Because as we've been talking about these mindsets that chip away at our value and our worthiness, if you're chipping away at it, now you're this big and you trying to find a man the same size, because that's all you can see. And God is like, oh, I can't wait to get this dust off of her and shine her up so she can see the vastness of the value I created her in and move accordingly. So until she got that, it ain't gonna be no dates left and right. No, he didn't pick you. No, you're not the one pregnant. No, you didn't get married. You didn't.
And he also knows how we want these things, right?
Genuinely, at a heart level.
He knows what we want, how we want it. And sometimes the people around us that are getting it is just not as pretty as it looks.
Facts. I mean, exactly.
It's not as pretty as it looks on the outside.
And that's none of our business.
Nope. But thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Thank you, God. And and all of that has to do with, when we talk about God, or when I talk about God, I definitely acknowledge the higher mind he put in me. Like, God is within us. So this co-creation that we do with God is like, I'm always thinking about how close to my highest self, my highest thought can I get in every situation? Because to me, that's working in tandem with God. You're right there and you're up here. So I'm just like, okay, let me think up there. Let me think a little higher. I'm on my tippy toes. Like, let me reach at the top of the cabinet and get that thought up here, because I'm of the world. I'm down. And it's just like, all right, let me tune in and see how high I can reach, because the higher I reach and the higher I get to the thought of the one who created me, which I will never know God's thought, like, not like that, but you get what I'm saying. Really seems to put me in alignment to make my best choices, to be in the best spaces. And I'm just here for that. So I'm loving the journey. I respect where I've been thus far. I think I had a question for you. Oh, okay. So what are your thoughts on shifting that mindset? And what are some ways that you keep hope alive in yourself while allowing things to unfold in its own timing? And this can be about acting or dating, but what kinds of things do you do to keep yourself hopeful and shifting your mindset away from being rejected and more knowing you're on time?
I think sometimes one of the things that I just have to do, and I think if we all do it, it can kind of kickstart us, is remember the time. Remember the time when, right?
You already know.
You remember. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
remember the time when you didn't have the thing you wanted, or you were seeking the acceptance or the job or whatever it was that you needed, and you thought it was not going to happen, or God wasn't going to come through for you, and then he did, and then it was better than you could have imagined.
Yeah.
Or it was right on time. Or you saw the result of the thing you didn't get, and you realized again, like we said, we're just grateful that it didn't happen. Yeah. So I think for me, one of the things I do to kickstart that for myself is like, just remember, I have listen, we've been on this earth for a while. We ain't gonna say how long, but we've been on this earth for a while. And a
couple of decades.
What's that?
I said a couple of decades.
Oh, just a couple. Yeah, just a couple. Literally. And listen, we have plenty of examples of times in our lives when we just were down and out, you know, and
Oh,
I just think back to those moments and just remember, like, listen, he came through for me then. It worked out for me then. It worked out better than I could have imagined. I have to trust that it will work again. My mom said to me one time, this was years ago, she said, "You think God has brought you this far to leave you now?"
Right.
He's
Fair
not
enough.
going to leave you.
Yeah.
He's got you. You know, he's not going to roll us out into the middle of the ocean and be like, "All right, it's on you now." Like, no, he's
Right.
never done that.
Right.
And then so it's like, okay, this isn't working, or that isn't working, or I'm not getting this and I'm not getting that. Okay, well, what can I do in the meantime?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like as opposed to just trying to keep focus and grip onto this thing that I want over here. Okay, maybe I need to just release that by channeling my energy in somewhere else. Does that mean more prayer, more praise and worship, more journaling, more reading, more creating, you know, tapping into some of my other gifts? Is it giving to others? Is it calling a friend and being a shoulder? Like, what other ways can I be of service to take my mind off of the things that are not happening for me? And obviously, listen, way easier said than done. Okay. Like, I spent plenty of days in the bed pulling the sheets up over my head to not face my reality. All right. But then I'll also allow myself to go through those moments as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need to be in the thing in order to get out the thing. The more you resist it, the more energy flows in that way. So for me, it's really just taking inventory of the blessings, of my blessings, of where I've been, what I've wanted, how things have worked out always, and just hold on. And sometimes I say I hold on with a pinky finger, like, Lord, you holding on like this, and now this finger, all these fingers are gone, and it's just a pinky finger left. You're like, Lord, please save me. And sometimes he just wants to know that you continue to lean on him, you know, for him to come through for you in a major way. It's so much easier. I was having Bible study last night, and we were just talking about some things, and I was just saying how it's just so much easier to default to the negative. That's who we are. Yeah, it's who we are as humans, right? We keep ourselves safe. We want to be in this little box. Stay right here. Don't worry about anything else. You know, we know the bears and we know the lay of the land. So we know if we stay in this little cave or right here, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But so it's like, okay, I have to now actually do the work to challenge myself to actually think positively. It actually takes work. It's like going to the gym to have a positive thought. Why? Because you don't want to be let down if that thought doesn't come true. So you rather prepare yourself with the negative that it's not going to happen. And then just so happen, hope that it does. And then if it does, it's like, yay, I get the surprise. But actually, you're doing yourself a disservice because it can't happen unless you believe that it will. So I've been really in this season, especially the last 4 weeks or so, I really feel like the veil is real thin right now. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, but
listen,
it's really important. And anyone who's listening, really important to really be mindful of your thoughts in this season, because our thoughts are literally activated in a way that they can produce a result within a matter of seconds, minutes, hours, a day. So yeah, those are some of the things
Yeah. No, that's very true. It's all very, very true. You hit the nail on the head. And I love that part that you said too about essentially what you resist persists. So please don't beat yourself up for having the more negative thoughts. I was listening to a TEDx talk the other day, and it talked about scientifically, we have about 50,000 thoughts a day and 40,000 of them are negative. Like that's about 80%. So it's like, you got to do the heavy lifting to make sure that them 10,000 thoughts are quality, they're high, and they're like, you got to be knocking them other joints like out and just make it a whack-a-mole situation and be cognizant of it until, you know, it becomes a habit. And so that kind of takes me to my next question for the audience and for you guys. Have you let your negative mindset subconsciously take over? And what is your default? I mean, I feel the default, I do agree, is, negative. However, there's some sectors of life I've really been able to get good at. And then there's some where I'm like, ooh, I'm still on default mode. And like you said, right now, the veil is really thin. I'm seeing and hear, like, my spiritual eyes and ears it's just like, sometimes I have to really sit down and be like, oh my God, like, what is going on right now? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? Look at all this stuff. And you're right. It's a very tender time to make sure we're tapped into that higher mind stuff. We're reaching at the top of the counter to grab the good stuff and use that to navigate from, so we can give ourselves a fighting chance to have what we desire and have it in the best way. And I know one of the things too, when I'm thinking back on allowing life to unfold in its own timing, is the surrender of it all. The more and more I think I know is the biggest reminder that I know nothing. And the more I accept that I know nothing, I mean, I'm at this point willing to really just, I don't care if we're talking, even if somebody wants to do a class on hosting. I've been hosting for over 10 years. I'm gonna sit there and look at that class like, huh? What? I don't, because if I don't empty myself of me, what I know, then how am I making room to receive anything new information that comes in the moment, information that might spark something that, yeah, I might have heard something 10 years ago, but whatever I get now, let it, be new. So surrender is something else that I've just really been kind of like, I don't know. Like, you tell me. I'm like, let me listen in as many moments as I'm aware of and make this a habit. Like, I'm so committed to making this a habit right now. And sometimes the other stuff creeps in. It does. And I got to talk it out with a friend. I'll be on text like, girl. Like, help. You know what I mean? So I love that.
As well as like allowing, so now, like you said, you're making it a habit. And so for me, I said it kind of already, but it's like the moment that I have this negative thought, oh, nope. And I'm turning it into a positive. I'm turning it into what I would want to happen, or what I believe for myself. What do I really believe for myself? Do I believe that I'm going to be married with children? I believe it. And in the moment that it matters for me to say it and believe it are the times when we don't feel like it's going to happen, because our vibration is really pure in that moment. That moment of disbelief, that moment of uncertainty, that moment of fear. We're actually vibrating the closest, which is when it's important to channel that and say, yes, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but it's going to happen. And I'm challenging God to be like, look, you said,
the desires on my heart for what?
Exactly. Going back to where we started the conversation, where you put this on my heart. Yeah. So I'm challenging you. I'm staying positive, and I'm looking at you now like, okay, I did my part.
Yeah, I was created this way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let me see it. And but still having to just continue to hold even when you don't. And that's what faith is.
Mm-hmm.
Holding on to the unseen.
And I love that. And thank you for sharing that, because that is so spot on. And I've also been thinking too, like, how much in La La Land can I really live? Like, I am already a daydreamer, but I'm like, no, I'm finna really live in this daydream. I don't see nothing in front of me, because I know that what I'm seeing in front of me is a manifestation of my old thoughts. So what I'm seeing right in front of me, it's already past. I'm like looking at the past right now as I see. It's like, okay, that came from these thoughts. What do I want to see next? How crazy can I get? Let me just close my eyes. We get so busy, but can we take the moment to close our eyes for 10 seconds? You got 10 seconds. I'm not even going to hold you on an hour meditation of being still and quiet. You ain't even got to do all that. But to take 10 seconds, take a deep breath and just be like, whoo. Okay, like, just go in, like, enjoy, it's like, what do we have the imagination for? I definitely believe it's to create our future and be a participant of that. And so that's another thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even playing on this realm anymore. I'd rather just be like, That's all I'm trying to see. And as many moments as I can grab, because it makes me feel good. And when you feel good, you're vibrating in the space that, says faith. I grew up, Christian as well. And knowing, just adding to my, wisdom bank in certain ways, it's like, have faith, have faith in God. And sometimes I personally just felt like, okay, but like how though? Yes, okay, have faith, but what are some steps and some tools that I can literally and practically put into place so that I can live in that space? I'm not that good. I'm just trying to be as great as I can. So what does that mean? I'm having a hard time sitting here in faith when I know I can't see it. But what should I do? So I have tried over the years to just cultivate some kind of practices that are just very human, that allow me to go back to that and be like, okay, I can do that. I can have faith. I can wait on the Lord, because I'm actively waiting. I'm waiting with hope. I'm waiting with excitement. And I'm learning how to do that when the way I was made is just looking out here. It's like, okay, this is the bank account. This is another holiday, and I don't see anybody. I don't have who's got a date? Not me. Another Valentine's, another one, have faith. Like, help me understand what does that mean at this point, And so that has been so helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay, this kind of goes into our little third topic. Are you so comfortable in your chaos that you're resistant to change? Now, I put this in here because I feel like sometimes we're afraid to change things because change is uncomfortable. But when does the situation you're in get so uncomfortable and so unbearable that it's probably easier just to change anyway, to at least explore your options? Like, that's kind of where I try to find myself a little more often these days too, because it's like, this is uncomfortable, but I know I've been in spaces where I was uncomfortable, but I just stayed anyway because I needed to check. I stayed anyway because it meant I had somebody. I stayed anyway because at least I'm texting with somebody, or at least I'm getting a little something from my chaotic mess that is feeding that addiction, so to speak, like how Toni was talking about earlier, the addiction of validation and all these things. But when does that become not enough and it's just so unbearable to eat the little bit and you just want to do something to change so you can have the whole meal type of a deal?
I feel like for me, it's been just almost feeling myself die slowly inside.
Girl.
Like literally dying. Like my flame that used to burn so brightly, it's like simmering. It's dwindling. And I can feel that I'm not living to the best of me. I'm not living to my fullest potential. And yes, we do get so comfortable in chaos that we're resistant to the change, because who are we without the chaos? Because now you're going to have to be better than you were before, or you're going to have to be different. And you may not feel like you're even strong enough or capable enough to be more or different than you've known yourself to be. So if the last 10 years has been disappointments or lack or almost wins, or, it's like that has become a habit. 10 years, that has become a new habit. And not to say that the old habit isn't still like the better habit, which is the one before those 10 years, isn't still present in you. But now you have to kind of like dig, shed, clean up in order to get back to that truth of who you are. And so I have found myself like just believing what's in front of me, the chaos, and like, oh, this is what happens. This is how it is. Like, you don't know. No, because if we go back to our youngest self, we had all the brightest dreams and thoughts and hopes, That's where the joy lives. That's where the true peace is. Honoring that younger self, not dying with the song inside of you, right? Forcing yourself out of the chaos, to run out the house of flames into safety. This is your house. This is the house you built. You've been born in here. You've been raised here, but it's on
Listen.
fire.
Get out of there.
Get out. Get out.
You just gonna burn.
You gonna burn with the house?
You talk about ouch, ouch, it's hot. And you gonna sit there like
Right, you just gonna sit in the house.
You just gonna sit in the house?
You gonna inhale all the smoke? Get out the house. You have to get out of yourself. And sometimes that just might mean taking a drastic change, right? Doing something drastic in order to just kind of swing the pendulum back to center, right? You're over here, and if you do something drastic enough to bring you here, now it may settle back in here, right? So like, yeah, I think a lot of people do get comfortable in the chaos. They get comfortable in the, oh, this happened again. Oh, this went wrong again. Oh, of course this didn't work out for me. Of course I, didn't get this thing. It's the narrative, but there's safety there because now you don't have to rise to actually getting the thing. Now you don't have to worry about whether or not you're actually capable of maintaining the goal, the thing that you've been wanting. But it's better to just be right below it, not quite know if you can get there, not do enough to get there, and then always have the excuse as to you not getting there because these things always happen, or the forces are against me. So absolutely there's comfort in chaos, but it's really up to us if that desire is within. And if you know that you are destined for more. Listen, at the end of the day, we have this one life that we know of at this time.
Right.
What are we afraid of? What's so really big and scary? What? Fail? Okay.
Not being validated?
Silly?
Not
you
being
looking
seen?
silly? Yeah.
Somebody not liking something?
Right.
What they say, the almighty they.
But it'll be worse with you not trying. Or seeing somebody else living a life that listen, right now, I can definitely count a couple people that I'm like, that's the life I'm supposed to be living. If I would have taken these steps in the past. Mm-hmm. But they took the steps and this is the result. So just like forge your own path. There's nothing, for me, I just feel like I just don't want to be 80 and I'm resentful, that I just didn't do what I was supposed to do or try to do the things that I wanted to do. Just do them.
Girl, I love that. SJ said, preach, because you preached just now, okay? Thank you, SJ, for tuning in. And Toni said, I create my own chaos. I self-destruct when life is easy. And we all do. That's that upper limiting right there. That's the temperature that says, I can only be at 70. I can only be happy 70. I can only be content 70. Because if I get too happy, I'm a little too happy. Something's going to happen. The other shoe's going to drop. I don't deserve to be this happy for whatever reason. I've never been this happy before. So what's going on? It's just all of that.
Sabotage at its finest.
The self at its finest. Like, this is a very common thing, Toni. A lot of people do it. And the majority of the time, we don't even know we're doing it. So the fact that you can identify that this is something that you do, that's the first step. The second step is, I'll tell you what I did, because I suffered from the same thing and still have moments where I do. And it's like, I will feel so excited and I realize I'm excited and I get that moment where something wants to creep in and be like, girl, don't get too happy. And I'll be like, and I stop and I inhale. And on the inhale, I allow the feelings of excitement I have to expand through my body so I can sit with it and get comfortable with the feeling of being hella happy. I want to be familiarized with that feeling. And the only way I'm going to be able to do it is when it comes in, is to be like, let it marinate, let it sit, let it create a little bubble around me. Let me just have that. You see what that feels like? Let's change. Let's be the thermostat. We change the temperature. Let's go ahead and turn it up and make that a habit so we can keep turning it up, and our capacity to receive great things will only increase. It's like working a muscle, just like anything else. So that's something that I'm practicing because I realize, the same thing. So again, as often as possible, I try to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And believing that you deserve it.
Yeah.
At the
Exactly.
end of the day, it's like there's a part of you that doesn't believe that you deserve this thing. So that's why
Yes.
self-sabotage creeps right in.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've had relationships in the past that I'm like, oh yeah, I self-sabotaged that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at me.
He was liking me. He was showing up the way I wanted him to. And I got real scared that he was going to actually be the one that I had to like put everything down for. And
you
I'm
better
like,
dig and find something. Something's wrong. Something's
okay.
wrong. Just
something
dig and find
right.
it.
Nitpicking about stuff that doesn't even matter. So now, like during the season of the singleness, it's like doing the work to know that you believe, you deserve the things that that you believe for.
Yeah.
And you do, Toni. You do. You deserve it, honey. If you
Facts.
didn't deserve it, you wouldn't be here.
Period.
That's it.
That's very true. When we were talking about the chaos, like, I feel like I'm in a really new space. It's really strange because I feel like, people see me as somebody who is successful and who's done things, and I have, but I'm currently working my way out of that chaos of like being my full self. Because if we go back to the top of the conversation about the worthiness and the value and rejection and protection, I really instilled in myself early that my value and worth was hinged off of what I did. So if what I did wasn't successful, I surely was like, you're not enough. You. Not like, and so serious about it. And I would really hold my, like, you need to do better. You need to do more. You need to, just the mindset all screwed up. And it really set me down a path that messed me up. And now here I am. I am somebody who will change. I'll move. The girl is why I be moving. I will pick up and move. I will do whatever I have to do to shake up the energy, to put myself back in some freshness or some energy that makes sense so I can continue to, like, what do they say? What is one of the things? It was kind of like, what is that book, The Alchemist? Sometimes you got to get lost to find your way home. That type of a thing.
I love that book.
Yeah. So I really be getting lost to find my way home. But I feel like I'm in that season now, and I feel like I'm doing a good job where I just feel like, okay, girl, you really can be you for a living. You really can make this work. You really can. And it's not about how good it is or what people think, or I'm not looking at analytics. I don't want to be looking at all these numbers. I'm moving intuitively. We had a conversation. I was like, well, girl, let's hop on. When I come on live every other day, it's because of something I'm learning, something that hit me, something. I don't have some weak plan of perfection that's laid out. That's going to be like, well, if I do this, I'm really giving a good Girl Scout effort for beingness, and believing that it will work in my favor no matter what it looks like. Oh my God, it makes me emotional because it took me a really long time to get here. It took me a long time to get here, to believe like my stuff matters,
Absolutely.
We go through so much. And when your mindset is not correct, it messes you up. And I have to look at myself and be like, no, girl, like, you gotta share, you gotta be, you have to. There's only one life. You cannot squander it because you're afraid of what won't work, just because this time in your life you put in everything and it didn't work. It did. I got so much value from those seasons. And when I say it was hard, like, this is probably like, forget dating, everything, all of that's this was probably the hardest thing for me to be like, nah, girl, create, try, do it again. What you have is like, just have fun. Like, you spoke about being like a child and having that childlike thing. Like, That was always me. My dad, he laughs. He's like, girl, we couldn't get you to stick to like nothing. We put you in ballet. You did that little, you wanted jazz. We did jazz. We did, you played the piano. You played like, this is just, and it's okay. Like, this is how I like to function. This is fun to me. And I never want to lose that because I'm comparing myself to what the world calls success, or what analytics numbers, or who says what is good, or what status looks like, whatever. Like, Jamie, are you having fun? Are you touching lives? Are you being of service? Are you blessing? Are you shining? Leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to find the success. You're going to continue to find the success, because being detached from the result is where the success is. That's the growth mindset. Not worrying about what the end is. It's just that I did it. The end will take care of itself. Like you said the other day, you were like, I don't know if this thing is working, and somebody sent you a message of confirmation that it was.
Within 5 minutes.
Your message is exactly what they needed to hear. And like you told me, you're like, you know what? I'm going to let go, because I'm going to allow whoever needs to find it to find it. Whoever needs to find it will find it. It's all about you showing up for yourself, being consistent. That's it. Consistency.
Yeah.
The consistency is going to lead to the success. And the success is the fact that you're taking the step to do the thing every day, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
Consistency equals the success. The result of the success is not up to you.
Yeah. But it took me close to 10 years to let go of that, because I couldn't see, and so this is what, so look now, like, girl, to come a long way. Even just us, like, we've been on the phone for years, and I know you remember, even a couple of years ago, it was just like, I keep putting myself in the house that's going to be on fire, and then being like, oh, this is on fire. I got to go again. But if I really ask myself, it's like, what did you even go in there for? You knew that wasn't your house. Why do you do that? Because it's safe. It's comfortable. You get comfortable in the chaos, because what would it really be, and what would it really look like if I did go full out?
Can I handle it?
Huh?
Can I handle it?
Can I handle it? I was listening to a message the other day, and I this was probably like a couple of months ago, but I was replaying it in my mind. I posted about it the other day, and I was just like, it really spoke to walking in the unknown, which I think is so beautiful and so powerful, because I don't need to see the whole stairway. It's one step at a time, and I'm learning to be 100% good with it. And I'm so much, better than I was, but it hit me because it's like, I don't know what kind of life is being built right now. Before, I felt so clear on where I was headed, who I was, what it looked like. Right now, I don't know. So there's that. And then I get the fears that creep in, like, what if I fall in love with this new life and it gets taken away? Will I be able to handle the heartbreak of losing again? And all of these things, not being able to see the life being built, wondering, like, because it is that mid you were talking about, how you stay right under the radar. It's like, maybe I should just stay right here, because if I lose it, if it goes away, if it doesn't work, that's not so bad. I'm falling from here. But now you're asking me to go back up here and do something. That fall, I shouldn't be thinking about the fall in this, but I'm just sharing some of my fears that I'm working through. And the same thing I be telling y'all is the same stuff I be telling myself. Like, this is a community effort. Yes. Like, it's not easy. Please do not ever think I got it all the way together, because that is not what's happening over here.
Yeah. We could just tell ourselves that to love ourselves will be to take the risk.
Yeah.
Loving ourselves is taking the risk, and devaluing ourselves is to sit in the chaos.
Yeah, devaluing. And there is I got that message. I keep getting that message, but and it's getting worse when it's like, now the house is not only on fire, like, this is about to blow up, and then there's going to be collateral damage, like, and that's on me. I'm not even supposed to be here. So it's getting to the point where it's loud, and I don't have any choice but to show up fully for myself, for my life, and for those who are called to whatever message and gift that I have. So if you're listening, it doesn't need to get to that point. You know, you can just do your best to do all the things. But yeah, it can be pretty intense, but I'm willing and I'm excited to see where this thing goes. I'm back on the horse.
Yes.
Again.
Stay on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you need the rest, take the rest.
Oh, I do.
And, you know, have you ever seen, I think, I don't remember what I was watching, but you can actually lay on a horse and fall asleep and the horse will still guide you to where you're going.
I believe it. Rest
like,
is
that's
productive.
Yeah. It knows the horse, like, it's like, so basically you stay on the ball, you take the rest, but you continue to keep the mind frame, the mindset in the right direction, you will continue to get there. And it's not a matter of how fast you need to get there, how much, you know, time we need to really just reevaluate our idea around the time thing. I think that's probably one of the biggest factors that keeps us in bondage. It's like the idea of the time. Well, how long is it going to take me to do the thing that I want to do? Now, how long is it going to take for me to get the result from the thing I want to do? How much time is it going to take? Like, how old am I going to be? Like, it's just, listen, none of that matters.
Nope. And it's none of our business. We couldn't even dictate it if we wanted to. We think we know so much. Time is a divine thing.
How many things do you have on your list? Because I know I have a ton 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I still want to do.
Yeah. And
if I would have just did it then, it would have been done.
Yeah.
But I was so concerned with the time of it.
Yes.
And now it's 15 years later and I'm still like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Let me go try that thing. Y'all, those of you who are watching that have been sticking with me, the first video I did was on time. You know, I don't have enough time. I'm running out of time. I did a post on time today. I was sharing how, you know, I was on the treadmill and my goal was to be on there for a certain amount of time. But I kept looking at the clock and that was making me tired. I was like, 13 more minutes. I don't even think I don't got 13. I don't got 13 minutes in me. 9 moments. Oh my God, 9 more minutes. And I was just like, oh my God. Every time checking the clock is draining my energy. I'm gonna stop looking at it and get back in the flow, drop back into my body, get into this music. Just focus one step at a time. I'm, you know, it's an uphill climb I'm doing. This is a steep, you know. And next thing you know, I look at the clock and I exceeded my goal, my time. So I kind of liken that to, we stress, we put extra weight on ourselves. Like, when is it going to happen? What is the time? How long is it going to take? I'm not going to do that because it's going to take so much time. And if you just stay the course, and like you said about being on the horse, just keep the intention, keep the direction, and enjoy the ride, you're going to find out, you're going to look up and find out you're walking in your blessing. Now it's not that you only got there, but now you're in it. And you got energy because you didn't waste all that time. I went for an extra more time than I thought I had in me. Because I went
for an extra 13 minutes.
Now, I don't know about 13, but I kept walking a little bit more. It wasn't like 29, 59. I was able to get past, you know, so it's just like, you know, the time thing really does trip us up if we allow ourselves to think of it in a linear human type of way. There's a book I was reading and it talks about being careful and setting deadlines because what you think is going to take 1, 2, or 3 years to accomplish could happen in a week. We don't know. And it's okay to have ideas about things, but leave room for the magic, you know?
Mm-hmm. Just do it, Nike. Just
do it. Just do it. Do it. Enjoy it. Put one foot in front of the other and relax about it because
doing it is going to give you courage. It's going to give you that energy. Freedom, the energy. All of a sudden, you're going to have more energy in your day. You won't be as fatigued. You're going to be like, oh, actually, I can go more. Like you said, I didn't look at the clock and I went more. So yes, just do it. Yes.
Facts. Yeah, no, that is so true. Okay. So one of the last topics I wanted to talk about while we're here, we're at an hour, but we'll wrap up on this topic, is the power of being present, where we are versus where we want to be. And I feel like that gap in between where we are and where we want to be is a trick of the mind, and you will never be able to close that gap. There's always going to be something else to do. There's always going to be another goal. You know, you want to be married, cool. Then you get married and, you know, your husband gets on your nerves. You want a baby so bad, then when you can't sleep, you're like, I want to throw this little fucking buckle right backward. Like, it's just always going to be like, it's never going to be the end all of be all. Like, I'm happy now. It doesn't exist. So that gap is kind of like a mirage where it's like, okay, I'm here, but if I had that one thing, I would be happy. It is a trick. So I just, you know, let me see. Can you answer? I didn't put a question on there for that. But anyway, what do you think of, I guess, like the happiness gap, the satisfaction that you get when you get to where you finally want to be?
What do I think
like?
About
What do you like? Do you do you think that that's possible? Do you think that? Let me rephrase this. What do you believe about the power of being present that allows you to be happy now and not wait until later or until you have that thing or until you get this thing to be happy?
Well, there's a couple things there, right? So when you have this idea to be happy, like you can only get the thing that you want that you think is going to make you happy is if you're happy now.
Facts.
So even if you think that this thing is going to make you happy, before you can even get the thing, or in order to get the thing that you think is going to make you happy, you have to be happy now. Right?
Because, or else that's that external validation thing.
Yes,
you're relying on something else. Yeah.
Gymnasium. It's like, oh, wait, what? I got to be happy to get the happy? Yeah. You got to be happy to get the happy. You're only going to be happy. You have to have contentment in your current situation in order to vibrate enough and far enough to then attract more happy. So I've been that person. I'm going to be happy when. I'm going to be happy when.
Right.
But you got to be happy now in order to get the when. Yeah. And so we fool ourselves into thinking, well, hey, actually, I do have one that I feel like if I was to win the lotto.
Now the lottery, you know what I'm saying?
I'll be real happy.
I'd be real happy.
I'll be real happy.
That's probably the one and only thing.
Make you happy. Well, give it to me. Let me see.
Exactly. Somebody lying. Let me test that out.
I'll tell you. But
then it's funny because I think about it. But I still feel like at some point when you've done all the things, when you spent all the spend, you're gonna look at that bag, you're gonna look at the house, and you still gonna find something.
It gets normal because somebody once told me that the Lamborghini, it's no longer, it just becomes a car.
A car. It's not fast.
So yeah, the happy, that heart has to have the posture of happiness. It has to have the posture of peace and joy. And joy is everlasting, right? Happiness is fleeting. Joy is everlasting, right? So the joy, and like SJ just commented, it comes from the gratitude. It comes from the blessings, to know the blessings that you currently have, even if they're only two. If you can only count two. If you didn't have those two, you would have less. So even be grateful for the two things that you can count as blessings.
Because 2 is a lot.
For some.
2 is so much better than 0 or negative something.
All the time, right? When it comes to some blessings. Absolutely. So yeah, it's really important to, if you're present, literally present, like right now, we all just took a moment of an inventory of like our body temperature. Like, what does my skin feel like in this moment with the temperature of my apartment? What do I hear outside my window? Like all those things of just being in the moment. Because then you're not concerned about the future and you're not worried about your past.
You know what I love? And you know what I love too about the present moment? And you just remind me when bringing up the future and the past is like, now it literally is the only moment. Because
Now is the only moment.
if I start daydreaming about the future or reminiscing on the past, what's the difference in this moment? It's still just me where I'm at and where I'm at. Doesn't so this is it. So the idea is to expand upon this because it's the present moment is like literally all we have.
Yeah.
I try to with the gratitude, I agree, SJ, gratitude needs to be constantly expressed. I think about it most probably when I'm in the shower, like, thank you for this hot, clean running water. Thank you that I can, or I look around my apartment or just all of the things. Cause like you said, the Lamborghini just becomes a car at some point, but how grateful can I get for the little things, being present, feeling the temperature on my body, being able to hear, the fact that I can hear, the fact that I can, and it just starts to pile on. And you do, when you're thinking like that in the moment, which is the only moment that you have, there's no time or space to be worried about what you don't have or what's not working and that's kind of the only way to continue to expound upon that energy is to realize how much you have
in the now.
Yeah.
I was looking to see, because I used to have a quote here on my board, and it said, if you're thinking about the past, you're going to be anxious. If you're thinking about the past, you're going to be depressed. If you're thinking about the future, you're going to be anxious. Only thing to worry about is just the now. Like, only thing to focus on is the now.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
No, but I felt that. That's facts. Toni says, when I am present, I am focused on what I'm doing rather than what I'm not doing. I tend to get more when I'm grateful. I'm glad you said get more. That's what I was trying to say. When you're grateful for what you have, the universe is a multiplier. It always has been. It's constantly evolving. Yeah. So give it a chance to evolve your thought of gratitude and enoughness, and you're only going to get more. That's just how it works.
Yeah, multiplier. I love it. Yes. Grateful. That's when you're grateful, and then that's when it will multiply for more things for you to be grateful for.
What?
Yes.
Don't you feel like that though when you have a friend or somebody that you love and you make them dinner and they're so grateful for dinner? It's like, oh girl, I'm gonna mess around and bake you dessert too. You want some dessert? What else can I like? Because it's just like it becomes reciprocal. It's an isness that is about expansion, and it feels good, and it's almost like it feeds itself. So I would rather that, because if it's the other way around, like, oh, that's it, you just made me dinner. It's like, oh, well, believe me, I will never cook for you again. Don't even worry about it.
I'll take it back.
If that's not your thing,
now you won't have anything for tomorrow.
Right.
It's gonna give you whatever you give it. That's the thing, and that's why we just have to challenge ourselves to just be in the space of mind that we want to be in. Because the more you woe is me, the more woe is me is gonna come. More things to woe is me gonna happen in your life.
Yeah.
So you can continue to sing that song. So wherever you show, wherever you give that energy, it's just gonna multiply. And the challenge, and SJ, Toni, Jamie, myself, maybe we should give ourselves, like, for the rest of the year, to the challenge of, like, staying in the pocket of positivity.
Yeah, and encourage
staying in the pocket of presentness and positivity.
Yeah. We can do that. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's do it. I think it's worth it. Big time.
Absolutely.
And we are the creator of our reality. This is why I wanted to have this conversation. This is why we talk about this stuff, because that should make us feel powerful. Like, it's really more in our hands than we think. It's not about control, but it's just about what can we do? We can co-create with the divine by being grateful, knowing our worth, picking the highest thought, and vibrating in faith, and all these honorable, yummy things that feel good, and not worry about, all of that other stuff. Because when you're holding on to things so tight, sometimes you open your hands and realize, like, there's nothing there. So we don't have to do all that. That is not our job. That is not our business. Alignment is, and that's something that we can do.
I was listening to Abraham Hicks, and she gave
they.
Sure. They gave an example of sand in your hand. And if you pick up sand in your hand, you can have a handful of sand. But guess what? The minute you close your hand,
oh my God,
the sand is seeping out. You open it and there's probably going to be very little to any sand left. So yes, not a matter of holding on to control it, but just keeping your hands open enough to continue to receive.
Continue to receive.
Have what you have in your hands, and then more can come. Because somebody could pile on even more sand. I mean, your hand is only going to be able to hold but so much sand, but somebody could add more sand.
Yeah, and then what's not meant will fall through the cracks, because it always does. I mean,
yes,
plants do that. Not the plants don't keep there's a whole season where all kinds of stuff falls off the plants.
Yeah,
things change colors. We move on. What's
my
wrong?
plants are withering.
Oh no, you gotta love on them just a little more, but prune them up, girl. I know you know what to do with your plants. My plants.
I don't have a green thumb. I thought this one plant was like my baby, and then now it's just like lost all that it blossomed, and I'm like, you look scrawny and scraggly.
But maybe it's a season, because I have peace lilies and they're doing all right. They're having moments, but also springtime is their time.
That's what my mom says. She was like, it's just a season.
It's
I'm
winter.
like, if it loses any more leaves, it ain't gonna be nothing.
Well, you better let her shine there with her little sticks and twigs sticking out and be like, you beautiful, my beautiful little sticky twiggy
you
baby.
Beautiful, you little scrawny little thing.
Yes. Well, I love this. I love this conversation.
I feel so much. I feel lighter.
Yes.
I feel good.
Me too.
I feel like I should go journal and just like create something.
I feel like I'm gonna journal. This was all about how to honor your inner value without external validation. I think we gave so many points and ways and reasons to that. Our inner richness it's everything. It's so golden. It's what we have. And okay. Yeah. And it's what's going to draw everything to us. So if you even tuned in on this long enough, shout out to you for being into this and being into it and feeding your soul with something and sitting with your sisters and, enriching that inner value, because this is where it's at, man. I couldn't imagine not cultivating my inner garden. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
Right. And sometimes you need to connect with others in order to find a light. You connect with the right energies, and then it could just give you a little spark, just enough to get through the day.
Yeah.
So that's why your circle is really important as well.
Ooh, yes. Get you some good girlfriends, y'all, or whoever, whatever you're like. Get your plants, get your friends, get your journal. Have the whole toolbox, the whole squad on deck to keep you in alignment and moving forward. Mm-hmm. Toni says, sassy gang, gang. In case y'all don't know, I have my sassy technique. S stands for spiritual or self-mastery and love. A, alignment. S, spiritual wellness. The other S supplanted. Y is your why. So
Say that again.
So sassy. S, self-love and mastery. A, alignment. S, spiritual wellness. S, supplanted. So my name means supplanted. It means to replace and supersede. The word supersede speaks to what is an authority in your life. So if you're constantly replacing and refreshing what takes authority in your life, whether it's your mindset, and how you see things, whatever, we should always be, just like we talked about the leaves, replenishing, getting rid of what doesn't work and replacing it with something that does. So supplanted is what Jamie means. So I put supplanted in there because I believe that to be a lifestyle. And the why is your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want the husband? Why do you want the kids? Are you sure that all of your thoughts and desires are yours? What is your, all of the whys. This is very personal, and to make sure you know what that is for you. It doesn't have to be what everybody else wants. This is about you and your why.
Yes, sassy gang.
Sassy gang. Yes. SJ says, absolutely, your circle is everything. It really is. And I've been blessed with such a stellar circle. Woo, I need y'all. I lean on my friends, y'all. We need each other. Well, I love this. Any last thoughts before we bounce, Toni?
Last thought is reason, season, or lifetime. Another thing in terms of being able to make sure we're cultivating what we want to cultivate and being detached from the result of things, is that we have to remember that not everybody or everything is supposed to be in our lives forever, right? I love to remind myself when I feel rejected by anything or anyone that, hey, reason, season, or lifetime. This person is only supposed to be here for a reason. This person served their reason. It's time for them to go. The season of this person is over. It's time for them to go. Oh, this person is a lifetime. Well, let's keep on trucking, you know? So reason, season, a lifetime. If we can kind of look at people when they come in and out of our lives in that way, I think we'll be more free. We'll give ourselves more freedom to just let them go and wish them well.
Freedom. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's true. Being able to let go, being able to say goodbye, being able to prune your leaves is, I can't think of a word that speaks of its importance, because it's such a big deal. Because for the freedom, you know, it reminds me of the Erykah Badu song, Bag a Lady, you gon' miss your back. Yeah, you gonna hurt your back, you gonna miss your bus, you gonna like carrying all that stuff.
Like that.
You can't hurry up, because you got too much stuff. Let it go.
Here's you. Yeah.
One day
he gonna say you crowding your space.
You crowding your space.
You
can let some things go, prune the dead leaves, say some goodbyes. That is so monumental. So thank you so much for bringing that up. That's huge.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you already know, you could already know, please follow Loving Life Deep on Instagram, because I'll be posting there. I'll be posting here. I'm having so much fun right now. Toni, thanks for lending your wisdom, your beautiful face, your time, your energy, your gems. Like, I love you. Thank you for always being there for me. And I'm so glad we're friends, sisters. And, you know, we got all this good stuff to share for the people.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, and I'm so glad to have been here today. And I'm excited for like this challenge of positivity throughout for the rest of this year. So yeah, thank you. And happy to be your sister and friend too, girl.
Hey, SJ, keeping it going. When they see you coming, they gonna pick up running. Ain't that it? You don't want nobody to run when they see you coming with all your stuff. Leave that stuff.
Where you going with all that stuff? You're not coming up in this house.
Absolutely not. I just cleaned the floors. What are we doing? All right, y'all. Y'all see too where you can find Miss Toni Belafonte. This is your Instagram, right?
Actually,
technically.
I should have put MISS. Yeah, it's MISS.
Okay. MISS.
Belafonte. Yeah.
Okay, MISS Belafonte.
Miss Belafonte.
That's right. Miss Belafonte on IG if you guys want to stay connected. Love you. Thank you for tuning in. Sassy Gang in the building, and we out. Bye.